to various Andy Bunkers. Sunday morning sunrise here in Phuket, and it's just getting light, and I thought I'd share the morning chorus with you. And we've got let's just try and get this for you. We have, it's going to be a very dramatic sunrise coming up there, and over here, hello, who's that? Jess, hello. Oops, try and get the moon in here. Can you see the moon? Beautiful full moon all night, very clear night last night, so it was very nice to see. It's the rainy season here, but so we've got the full moon over there, almost full. I think it was full the other day actually. And the sun rising over there. Yeah, so I wish I could, give you a better picture of the moon, but it is certainly another light in the sky, that's for sure. Hello, Natalie, you're up early. James, hello there. Zeus Scott, all right, man. Yes, all right, thank you. Yeah. Anyway, and of course the birds sound lovely in the morning. The neighbour's got chickens over there, so that will. Good morning, John Tor. Hello. Good to see you. Wow. Okay. People in from all over the plane. What's that, Natalie? The moon is to my right and the sun is to my left. Oh, cool. Can you see the sun? Are you still in Bangkok, Natalie? In a high rise there, maybe? Yeah. That's cool, isn't it? That is so cool. So there you go. The sun and the moon, 180 degrees, opposite each other, still in the sky. Okay? Nothing's gone behind some curve. Yeah, they're both up there, the sun and the moon. Yeah. Moon's up there. It's about, 30-degree angle up there. Sun's just coming up. Okay, it's probably up already, but I can't see it because the house is in the way. Yeah. And and when it's around a full moon, of course, they're pretty much opposite each other anyway. Yeah. So they're opposite each other up there in the sky. Yeah. Not disappearing. And of course, that's what you're dealing with all the time, isn't it? When you we all get it. We all get these newcomers that kind of point at the sky and say this, and they talk about the science of predictions, or there's this confusion with what science is, or this generalization, science and mathematics and being able to calculate things and work out models is all called science, and that's where they blagged everyone, isn't it? I'm a kind of coffee and a tea guy at the same time, but these days only one or two coffees is enough for the day. Prefer tea now in my dotage. And that's a business I was thinking of getting into actually here, is things like English tea. The English tea, which obviously originally comes from India, is very expensive here, so it's you can get it, but I want to find a way of getting English breakfast type, black tea here and providing it to the expat community, or anyone else that wants to become a tea drinker in Thailand. Thailand tea drinkers, aficionados, yeah, because I'm sure there's lots of Brits and stuff like me who love their tea, but you have to pay. You pay as much for a 20 bag box as it would cost to ship that thing over. It's about £10, equivalent to £10. Yeah. Right. Okay. We've got a bit of a thing going on here. Mummy Sher, I'm so glad I caught that. Looking good, Nick. Thank you for letting me see you. Oh, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Natalie, yes, we're living in Bangkok now, and I only need to go to Phuket for my visa check-ins. Oh, right. Interesting. You have to go. You can come back to Phuket. All right. Yeah. Okay, I'm on a 1 year now, which is very, very convenient. After in years and years and years of living here and married with kids and stuff, I could only ever get a 1 year visa when I was working full time. But now I found avenues to do that, and it costs money. But yeah, so. Ex-Globe, oh gosh, who's this ex-Globe-Tab? Wrong, friend, the sun and moon don't rise or set. They come into focus and out of focus at the same altitude in our local sky, aka Atmo plane. Okay, not atmosphere. Okay, fair shout, ex-Globe-Tard. Yeah, hello, David. Good to see you, man. Yeah, tea is so overpriced. Well, Natalie, that's one little thing I'm trying to, let me see if I can find a way of making it cheaper and making a profit. That's what I'm looking into as a sideline. Yeah. Anyway, oh wow, we've got lovely pink sky. Hang on, let me try and turn this around. Oh, I don't know if you can. I'm gonna try and hold this still. Yeah. So we've got the moon there, full on shiny moon. Obviously, to me, it looks a lot bigger. And this is another thing, isn't it? You're looking at that through the lens of the camera. If you were here, you'd be looking at it through, the lenses of your eyes. And hello, Globebusters. Hi, Ben. Hello. Yeah. And I was thinking about this the other day, actually. Has anyone ever? Nice. Salmon pink sunrise or a peachy sunrise coming up here. Oh, check it out. Yeah. Am I still doing the chip shop? No, John. That was one of those things that kind of tried. It was doing okay, and I've seen this happen a lot, actually. I'm just another one of those failed businesses in that respect. Hi, Tony. We were doing well when we were selling it out of our house and doing deliveries to people, that was going well. We were really busy. And then we thought, okay, we'll open up a shop. We've come to that point where we need to be somewhere people can come rather than, but no, the rent was too much. There were too many other logistics, had to try and set up a company and all that kind of stuff. So it just became far too expensive, far too much hassle. Cats died, dogs died. We were living near the road. It was just too much. And I tried doing it again when I came back from after the long period in the UK, back to the deliveries, and it kind of took off again. I got busy, I got some money, but it was just not viable. So, yeah. It's just one of those things. There isn't a market for it here, especially because, of course, especially after COVID. Well, it's seasonal. The farangs here are seasonal. We had people that kept coming back after the holidays and stuff, but they come here on holiday, but you can't get through the quiet months. Okay, no, cool, John. I mean, it's just one of those things, I mean, we were putting ourselves under so much pressure as a family. And just to kind of please customers and run this show. But here you have to deal with so many other logistics as well. I mean, I know if you were setting up something in the UK, there's a lot of health and safety to deal with, but yeah. Anyway, and so we got that's quite lovely up there. Yeah. So let's get back to our chat. Oh shit! We have a cat. Adopted this cat from an organisation called the Soy Dog Organisation. They started as a charity a long time ago, about 10 years or so ago. But they're cool. They're cool with each other. So yeah, they have this program where they pick up dogs, dogs that are, it depends. They have a hospital, and they have this cat and dog adopting service Squirrel Sniper, greetings. Ah, lovely. Yeah, I should, hang on. Oh, that would make quite a little, that's probably prettier than my face, isn't it, that? That's for sure. Anyway, just turn that back. Oh. Yeah. Where were we? Oh yeah. Again, pointing at the sky. So as I said here, this is a perfect example. The sun is going to be well above the horizon by the time the moon's there. The moon is still well above the horizon. Okay, so we now have a daytime moon. Yeah, and it's pretty much full moon. I mean, yes, full moon. So that means that the sun and the moon are pretty much diametrically opposite. Yeah, and so the moon hasn't gone down behind on the other side of some globe Earth. It's there. It's right there in the sky. Yeah, and the sun's over there. Yeah. That's it. That's all that's happening. Yeah, on our flat Earth. So when people point to the sky and talk about, and that's the thing. There's the predictive nature of it is considered science. Yeah, that's where we were going, really, isn't it? And this is, and this is why flat Earth and understanding that we're not on a globe and understanding also what flat Earth really means is that you find yourself actually tuning into what you're really experiencing, reality, yeah, compared to models and the illusions. And that's just, hi Dave. Oh, hang on, what's that, Natalie? You're on a side note, you're in the neighborhood, we had our wedding reception in, we had it at the, oh, lovely, okay. Oh, nice, Natalie. Yeah, Boat Lagoon, nice. Dimension models, yeah. But that's the thing, isn't it? That's where you have to start using discernment, and this is just with our life's journey. It's funny, isn't it? Even it doesn't matter whether you're someone like Elon Musk or whoever, or I don't know, Mike Tyson, or just ordinary Joe on the dole for your whole life. You're going to have a whole bunch of experiences, and they're going to be things, that you can learn along the way. And here we are trying to, of course, the burning question is, what is this place? Where are we? Who are we? What's this all about? What's the point of all this? What's the purpose? Who put us here? And we have no answers at all. Scientists, there's a lot of funding that's going into looking into consciousness, the connection with, how does consciousness work? What is consciousness? They don't know. They have no answers. Yeah. And in a way, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's beyond our comprehension. For example, there's a phrase in Thai. Let me show you one of these things. I suppose you would call it toad in the hole, but they, this is called an ang nam. So, this is the stone, things, yeah, that they fill up with water, right? So you'll often get a toad or a frog ends up in here in one of these things. And that's it. That's their world. They can't get out. Now they'll get their food and stuff. It comes by, yeah. But that's all they know. Let's just get this back, yeah. That's all they. Sorry, just a second. Okay. That's all they know, yeah. Got me ang. A toad in a jar, yeah, in a pot, whatever. And so, that's the thing. That's our world. That all we can do is see the stars and the sun and the moon going overhead, and we can make a lot of stories up and explanations and assumptions. And it's funny, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, it's what you get the demand for is explanations. Explain this, explain that. It's like, yeah, you can explain it in a whole bunch of different ways, but ultimately, can you explain how and why it's here in the first place? Why are you here in the first place? And we haven't got it sussed. No one's sussed it out, and evolution isn't necessarily doesn't prove anything anyway. Whether we evolve, these are all ideas. Yeah. So, and this is the whole thing with the journey, life's journey, as we learn. We go through very frustrating times. Everyone, we've all got our stuff to deal with. I think that's where I was going with that. Is it doesn't matter whether you've got money or not. That doesn't make life easier. It does in some respects, but you're still going to have all these other issues to deal with. Yeah, it's still going to be stuff. Yeah, that kind of that affects you, makes you sad, makes you happy, makes you sick, makes you whatever. Yeah. And so that's it. It's good to strive for things, isn't it? Of course, to make plans, to have ambition. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, you meet people, and they'll be broadly one of two types. They'll be either the kind of person that is kind of they're the toad in the hole. They're just there. They've got their things sorted. They've reached some kind of understanding and acceptance of the world in the way it is, and that's their lot. And a lot of people just very much want to stick to that, and understandably so. There's a lot of fear, and I think that's something we found out with the whole Rona thing, is that it's just how easily people would be scared into doing something, and just how widespread that is. And it's interesting how people will that they desire normality, but at the same time they want to spice up that normality with adventure. And so this ends up being the whole kind of focus on politics or this or that, and we can get so wrapped up in that and so distracted. And then, of course, part of this process of waking up and realizing the difference between illusions, delusions, and reality is seeing that. And when you see it, it's like seeing a mob getting into a scrap, and people are going to get hurt. So what do? Do you pile in and join in? No, you stay well away. You just get on with your own thing. Yeah. And that's the thing, it's very easy to live life getting drawn into these situations and not realize at all that we're getting sucked into something, isn't it? Now, of course, someone's going to come back and say, oh, well, you got sucked into flat earth. And it's like, oh, no, that's not, you don't get what that it really is. Again, to the uninitiated. And to be initiated, it just means to start thinking about things, thinking about what we're told, thinking about the official version and comparing it with reality, and then discerning the difference between, the science, the real facts, the predictable nature of things, and of course, the limits of our understanding as well. I mean, it's amazing what's going on. Really, there are some amazing advancements with the aim of getting off this rock, or sending satellites and rockets and things like that. People are developing all sorts of things, and they end up coming into our everyday lives. Just this drive to achieve something, to get somewhere, to go somewhere. So I don't see anything wrong with that, because there are so many spin-offs, as it were. I was watching something just last night where people are trying to, they've got the funding, obviously, from somewhere to basically set up this massive operation where they're sending rockets into space, or, well, getting rockets up as far as they can. The whole rocket formula, the rocket equation, is the rocket equation they call it, where, however, the more fuel you carry, the more load you're carrying. So you just, there's a limit to how high you can get your rocket if you take off with all the fuel that you need, because the more fuel, more weight, and it holds you back, etc. Yeah, so this is the problem, and so they're trying to overcome that with this, basically spinning a rocket on an arm, and they can put this arm at any direction. And yeah, using real physics, the fact that when you let something go, it's going to carry on in its linear trajectory. So that's what they're basing this on. They let this rocket go at the right moment after they've spun it up to, it's revolving at a few times a second. It's massive and fast. And so they've had to develop carbon fiber materials for this thing. And yeah, they're actually, it's amazing really that they're doing stuff with the aim of putting rockets in space, or at least innovating a new way that gets past this, the rocket equation problem. Yeah. So great, in some ways, this is it. There is scientific exploration of physics and no. But what does it prove? What does getting a rocket up there prove? If it can go round and round. Look at magnetics. I was looking. What is it? If you've got a bowl. There's some beautiful birds around here. Hopefully they'll start singing. Pigeons, jays, all sorts, doves. Oh wow, there's a couple of there's a couple of yellow and black ones that are around here. They make this kind of, it's weird, it's very, very beautiful sound. Where was I? I got lost. Saline water, magnetics. So if you have this it's basically you create a current. I can't remember exactly how it works, but it's quite a simple setup that you can do with a bowl and something in the middle that's metal and it's conducting this magnetic field. And so saline water will rotate in this bowl around a pole, with just the influence of electromagnetism, and it's just doing that, and that's what we see going on the Earth. And electromagnetism or magnetism is undeniably here. We use it. It's that's accepted science. That's consensus that we deal with the effects of magnetism on the Earth. And there are different names for it, stuff, but that is not considered ever. It's like, no, we're going to talk about gravity, and the tides. I was arguing with someone the other day about the tides. We were doing a video the other day about the tides. Of course, one of the main points was that, for example, I don't know what the high tide time is, but right now the moon is over there. It's hitting the western horizon, or it's going to. It's not directly overhead, but if you can just look at the time that the moon is directly overhead and check it with the tide times, and if the whole moon gravity thing is the cause of the tides, then the tide should be at its highest point when the moon's directly above you, if it's pulling all this water and stuff. No, it doesn't work. There's no doubt that there's a correlation between the moon and the tides, but what can you prove? So there's that. There's also the fact that so basically now, it could be high tide now or whenever. It could be a different time, but it's not necessarily high tide when the moon is directly overhead. The other thing, of course, is that streams, rivers, underwater, all this water that's underground most of the time is huge. People make the excuse that there are no tides in lakes and stuff because it's not a big enough body of water. That's ridiculous. That's nuts, because you're just talking about a gravity, a pull from this moon up there that apparently goes against, it counteracts the gravity here on Earth that supposedly makes us stick to the Earth or stick to the outside of a spinning ball. So that should affect everything from a glass of water to the human body that's made up largely of water as well. We should, but no, there's something much more esoteric going on than that. Any woman will tell you that there is a relationship with their body and the moon, but that doesn't mean magnetism. It doesn't mean that your body is becoming lighter. This is this is part of the intelligent design. I mean, it's insanely intelligent, isn't it? Sorry, I'm getting a sore bum here. I'm trying. Yeah. Let's have a look at the chat. It's not rocket science, John Tor. J-Love. Oh, right, okay. Sorry. Yeah, there we go, okay. Hello, YouTube. Oh, hello, Ulanor von Krieger. I hope I said that right. Dense out, but those rockets have air intakes because they need oxygen for combustion. Okay. What's that, Ulanor? My childhood rockets that are launched in the backyard take off faster than the multi-million-dollar ones. Ah, nice one, yeah. North is a location. All the other directions are relative to true north. Okay. Oh my God, a guy just spent, a foreigner, on his mountain bike getting his morning exercise. Bloody mask on. You know, this is it. You know, this. Can you see the extreme craziness that people will put themselves through based on perception, based on a concept, based on illusion? Yeah. So I'm sure all of you that are kind of flat earthers are also at a point in your life where, you know, you've overcome many obstacles, you've dealt with a lot of crap, and in a way, of course, that turns out to be a good thing because it's lessons, it's experience, it's things that we can grow from, right? Ultimately you start looking back at things. Oh, okay, that was handy. That was a good lesson in life, yeah. And you're still here after. You know, you might think about times when you were worrying your socks off about something, and well, eventually you got through it, yeah. And this is, of course, the thing. We, on this journey of self-exploration, you discover, or you realize, and obviously this helps if you have some guidance, but you can realize it on your own, that there is this, you have this knowledge, this internal intrinsic intelligence, I suppose, that's there, that we rarely listen to because we are constantly distracted, constantly by thoughts, yeah. And so the thoughts, your thoughts are your whole world, yeah. It's just, as I was saying earlier on, getting drawn into a fight or not, you know, impulsively you end up doing things when you're not thinking about it, or your actions or impulses are because of your, you know, your upbringing, your conditioning, your mindset, the way your mind works, yeah. And surely that part of the journey is seeing the mind there as a thing on its own, and being the observer. You're watching your mind, you're observing it. And then, of course, when you're observing it, you're seeing all these things going on, and you see that the mind is telling you to do this or that, and or what's influenced it. You know, if you're taking really literally doing this, you're looking at your mind like this, and you're observing it. That's a step towards understanding. That's basically the first step, isn't it? You understand that, you know, you do things, there's just more clarity, and there's less attachment, and there's less emotional turmoil, because you can, you know, there's the brain and all these things going on, and yes, okay, it's depressed now, or it's you know, it's whatever, it's thinking about the, yeah, it's that detachment, yeah. You're then creating that detachment, and that's what they talk about, because you know, the mind buzzing away and all that kind of stuff is fantastic, as in one sense, it's, you know, it's great, it's wonderful. That's how we have come to have this technology that allows us to talk across vast distances and whatever, you know. That's, you know, thinking is not a bad thing, but it's understanding and seeing where the thinking comes from and where the thinking is going on. And so we were talking about this kind of exploration into consciousness, and of course there is a lot of funding going on there. You know, we've in some senses in the sciences we've reached that understanding that there's this mystery to be solved, yeah, and there's funding put towards it, and there's people spending their lives trying to do things, and of course a lot of the time they're focused on the brain. You know, what's happening with the brain in terms of consciousness. And yeah, of course, again, just like the moon and the tides, there is a connection between the brain and consciousness, but there's also connections to the heart and the rest of the body and consciousness. And so, you know, what is the consciousness that's inhabiting the brain or directing the brain or causing the emotions, or are they, you know, does one cause the, you see, the, you know, ultimately, where do you prove the cause and effect? The body needs consciousness to operate, yeah? And consciousness perhaps needs a body. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe a body is one option. Who knows, yeah? Again, but that's all we can know, because we are trapped in our 5 sense body and our 5 sense reality. But then the 6th sense, okay, the 6th sense is kind of, well, it's all of that combined. And of course you have the mind as well. The mind, in a way, you know, I've heard it described, 6th sense described differently, but thinking about it, I would like to say that the mind maybe is the 6th sense, and you have something else beyond that as well, yeah. But then, of course, people talk about the 6th sense in terms of you know, being able to feel your way through things, or know that certain things are happening because your intuition and things like that. So if we stick to talking about the 6th sense in those terms, it's that intuitive intelligence that is, I suppose, consciousness that knows. This is the thing, you know, consciousness kind of ultimately knows when, how can you know, this is where you start getting down this rabbit hole of trying to explain things, and eventually words don't mean anything, yeah. This is the thing, I'm using labels to talk about consciousness and we still don't know what it is, so we can't really identify it properly. That becomes a huge problem for us humans. We don't like to be, you know, feel stupid or, you know, left out, yeah. Moon's nearly gone, by the way, just behind the clouds. So it's faded out now. That's the thing. The moon is still up there, about, I don't know, 18 degrees up there. And if I point it, I mean, you won't be able to see it, but it, yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's above that tree there. So there's still, and obviously the sun's well up now, yeah, but the moon is fading. Yes, another thing while I was on that one. How do you know that any planet goes behind the sun? Yeah, we've got this assumption that you know, all the planets are orbiting the sun. Well, have we ever seen planets go behind the sun? Has that ever been observed, or just assumed? Yeah. Because obviously, as soon as you got the sun there, you can't see the planets. It's, you know, it's not nighttime anymore. So, has anyone actually ever seen that? Yeah, in kind of a scientific way, of the yeah. Anyway, that's one of those more practical things. So you talking about consciousness? It is, yes, it's a 6th sense. It's or that kind of knows what's going on, but we rarely tune into that. We're constantly distracted, yeah, and very much held in a belief. So, in a part of the Buddhist mantra is really understanding that you're born into this world of illusions. That's it. You know, as long as you start off with that understanding, you know that. Meow meow meow. Just to get my cat. She's going to chase the chickens. Tusa. Meow meow meow. Come here. Come. Meow 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 meow. Come on. That's a good boy. Yeah, there he comes. Oh, cat comes running. It's all right, Brownie. Here's a good girl. Yeah. All right, well done, Tusa. Good boy. Yeah, here's the adopted cat. Yeah. Don't know much about its history. Yeah. It's all right there. So dogs are a bit jealous sometimes, but they're okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? When you let go of these things, again, part of the growing up, the awakening is again seeing how the monkey mind and the ego are all kind of pulled this way and that, and of course, you look back at a lot of the decisions you made in life, and you can probably see times when you did things because of you did things because you were distracted by some illusion you thought you had to. Yeah. And I was watching some of these shows. They're from maybe about 10 years ago in the UK, skint and or benefits people and things like that, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a vicious cycle, isn't it? Sometimes, there's a very small window of opportunity, I think, for when you grow up, for kind of getting on a fruitful path. Yeah. It's difficult to say because everything's different, but you can very quickly get into that. What you see repeatedly is this kind of sense of that there's apathy, because there's this kind of yeah, don't get me wrong, some people are downright lazy, that's just them, but there's also what happens is you can also life beats you down, or just the authorities, sticking it to the man is kind of like takes effort, takes energy, takes gumption. Yeah. And so of course there's a whole variety of factors. You can never blame anything on one thing, but you end up with people or a certain sector of society that well, in some way they're kind of relying on handouts, but I think for most people don't want to do that. They want to get on, but there's, even if there are opportunities out there, it's very, very difficult to get that first step. And if you've had a pretty kind of if you've had a rough start, it's really difficult to, because then you've got to rely on people to help you out, really, and that's the thing. We are very helpful as people, but we end up creating these systems. We end up trying to create rule. Well, that's not, we have to have a rule. We have to have a cutoff point. And it's like, no, that's the thing. We live in a world that's full of diversity, and we're constantly trying to control it. And even if it's for the betterment, we end up making these ridiculously silly mistakes, because we're trying to be good citizens, and we're, and it's like, again, the Rona thing. It's so funny, because if you've gone through some of the realizations that you have about how, humanity, and that as soon as someone introduces a certain kind of argument or a concept that, okay, there's got to be a limit. We've got to do something about this. We've got to say, and we're talking about all the different rules, whether it's but there's always going to be discussion and debate and argument about the extent or limit. Where do you draw the line? Where does it stop? It's never ending. As soon as you start setting rules about who can or can't do things, or what you have to or don't have to do in order to do something, there's going to be this ripple effect, or there's going to be things that no one can really ever think of. So as I was saying the other day, this whole thing with the Rona is really kind of, it was a case of, well, you just had to kind of sit back, and I mean, of course, a lot of us got caught up in the ridiculousness of it all. But in some ways, we had to, you just had to sit back and watch the event unfold. The people. Because even speaking to doctors, and they hadn't thought it through. Everyone's caught up in the whole kind of, oh, got to get jabbed, got to get this. They're all not thinking it through whatsoever. even doctors saying, yeah, we've got to implement these passports, these Rona passports. Yeah, and it's like, okay, you don't do that for TB at the moment. So where are you going to end this? Where does this end? And I remember discussing this with the doctor, and I'm trying to kind of gently put my point across. And I asked him, where does it end? And I just got a blank stare. Yeah. So we can spend our lifetimes trying to complicate issues and trying to sort out life, trying to make our lives better, when really that is a complete distraction from the now. Yeah. Again, it doesn't hurt, and it's good to think about things and to plan things and take action. Yeah. But it's also at the same time that you have to have that awareness that you're not doing something that is being provoked by a distracted mind. Yeah. And of course, that's 99.9% of the time, that's how we live. Yeah. We live not here and now. We live in a world of concepts and thoughts and stuff somewhere else. Yeah. And that's especially true when you start arguing with, anti-flat earthers or globers, because they are arguing about concepts, and they'll bring mathematical drawings to the table. So, well, where'd you get that from? Is that from a measurement on the earth? No, it's just a model. It's just all these assumptions, and this is it. This is why flat earth, going through, all these things, is because piece by piece you analyze the explanations that have been given to us, and you compare that with reality, and you think about other things that could be true in reality. As I was saying with the magnetism and salt water, you can physically create a relationship between magnets and salt water, or electricity, whatever. There's something happens there. There's an interaction, and and that is obviously happening. There's salt water moving about and swirling about on our earth, and there's magnetism on our earth, and it moves and stuff. So hello, let's try. But could you get and you argue this point with someone that's new to the whole thing, and of course they want papers from authority. They want some scientist at some university to have tried this out, but of course they already accept and just deal with a whatever, and maybe it doesn't make any difference to them anyway. So you see what I'm saying? You end up with a bunch of explanations and scenarios, and none of which might have any bearing in reality whatsoever. Yeah. I've got an arm missing from my glasses. Jeremiah, dissident, Morgan. I say never follow me. I follow my own path and be absolutely, yeah. And this is probably key, isn't it? Because there's also this realization that the so-called evil people, good, bad people, if you can reach a point where you're not necessarily pointing the finger, we can't necessarily blame Bill Gates for being a monopolist, yeah, or Fauci for taking advantage of things, or you see the Prime Minister. Yeah, in fact, I think about Boris Johnson, and it's funny because he was in a situation. It was at first, he was cool with the Rona. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just a cold. Yeah, at first, and obviously he got pushed. He had to. We know that these people are just puppets, and so there were people, vested interests, pushing him in a certain direction. So he came up with, or his team or whatever, they got everyone, they twisted that to save the NHS. And that was how they rallied support in the UK. And so it's very clever, very manipulative. And it was unique. It was a unique way to the British of actually, okay, all right, so our leaders have told us we got to do this, we got to implement this, and we've got to try and get these, we made these deals to buy the vaccines, and we've got to get them out, and whatever. And of course, maybe they did or didn't know about the whole depopulation agenda or whatever. Yeah. But that's what they do. That's what governments do. Again, that's and it's not. Of course, there are different departments, there are different elements, and ultimately these governments are made up of people, aren't they? So we're always dealing with people. There are people that unthinkingly got involved and took the jibby jabby, and there are those that just stood back, knowing as well. I mean, obviously there was stress because you're watching everyone you're thinking, where does this end? Where are they going to just are they really going to implement these forced measures and what have you? But ultimately what happened is now everything's completely opened up. You can travel to and fro because obviously there was this element that wanted to make, that had some influence over government and they wanted to do their thing. But they're not controlling the whole world. They can't. Yeah. And ultimately they can't monopolize the world's commerce, and they need everything else that's going on aside, whatever it's, whether the aviation industry and all these things, so these things, the way we're interacting with each other on all these other different levels is the reality of the situation. Yeah, but they'll have us distracted and thinking about one thing in particular as much as they can with the mainstream media. But ultimately, we're all dealing on and this is just going on from that comment where we're just walking our own path. Yeah, so screw what they're trying to put, the fear that they're trying to say. I'm talking to relatives in the UK, and they're very, very worried about the price of fuel in the winter. Of course, everyone's got a smart meter now, and this is something that we tried to we're talking about this years ago. It's like you get that smart meter and they can charge you what they want and you can't do anything about it. Yeah. And of course, now that's coming about. So yeah, there is reason to be a paranoid conspiracy theorist because there are conspiracies to just dig as much and gouge as much money out of people as possible. Yeah. And that's what any business person does. And it's just, once they get more influence, and that's, we're being charged for electricity, which could be free. We get charged for water. We get charged for breathing. Yeah. Your carbon taxes, all that stuff. Yeah. Let's solve the problem by taxing people. But this is the accepted model. Yeah. No one thinks about it really, do they? Too much. They complain about it. But there isn't rebellion. And it's funny, again, the psychological nature and the way this is done, the way it's implemented. A lovely sounding bird, isn't it? Yeah. People are still, even though they're scared shitless that they won't be able to afford their gas or whatever in the winter, they're not rebelling. They're just kind of like, yeah, buckling down, I suppose, and just complaining. But that's it. You end up being if that rules your life or your decision making, which it can very easily do, then you will be trapped in this fear. You'll be stuck. You won't do things. I can't do that because this, and all of a sudden your whole life is being governed by a bunch of thoughts that have no basis in your actual reality, your path. And that maybe you can talk about the God and devil in that kind of respect. The devil is those distractions. If you're walking God's path, that's walking your own path. Yeah, the one, whether these are mapped out or intended for us, who knows? But that's the thing with choice, isn't it? You have choice. You have the freedom of choice, so you can choose to follow the path that is really the natural path, or you can get distracted and go off on some ridiculous, mindfuck adventure. Yeah. And that's the thing, when you're detached and you're not distracted so much, then you make decisions that are, well, you don't, there's no effort in making those decisions because you're not you're not overthinking it. There's no gears grinding to try and push something out, or it's funny, the word in Thai for decision is dat sin jai, dat sin jai. So it's like dat to cut, yeah, dat sin jai. Sin is okay. You could call that a kind of an ending, but jai is your heart. And so a lot of words in Thai kind of talk about the emotion, of the heart. Di jai is happy. It means, my heart is good. Di jai is heart. Yeah. So that's in jai. That is that's in jai. So you're basically, there's this awareness that when you need to make a decision, there is turmoil going on in your heart. It's really manifesting physically. Yeah. This is thoughts. You're having thoughts. Okay, right. Okay. What am I going to do here? Am I going to tell him, or am I going to bite, whatever? Yeah. It's whatever. Yeah. And these create turmoil and basically suffering. That because you're wrapped up, you're getting evolved, and your body functions are also. So your thoughts have become a reality. They are really, really real. Yeah, you feel it. Yeah, you're thinking it, you're feeling it. It's there. You're wrapped up in it. Yeah, and that's the thing. You're in this world of yours, and that's not real. Yeah, that's. And so to the Thai expression to dat sin jai is to really basically to stop, to cease the frustration, the suffering that's going on. All this thinking that to try and make a decision. So you have to at some point you have to cut it off and decide what you're going to do. So you stop thinking about it and do it. Yeah. And that's the thing, so you understand then when with thoughts and emotions that these become very, very real, but they are concepts. So do you see what I mean? There's the reality of you sitting, or whatever you're doing right now. Yeah, me sitting down on a chair, and it's physical reality. Yeah. But there could be a whole load of stuff going on in my head, or in your head, or mind, as it were, not necessarily in the head, but in the mind. Thoughts and what have you. Yeah. So great. The brain is like a processor for thoughts, but is the brain creating the thoughts, or is it just making connections? And there are trillions of them, which makes infinite possibilities of the thoughts that we can have. However, it's been worked out that the human brain, or thought patterns have a certain there's a certain number of ways that we think. Yeah. And so again, we're looking, and you can then look at the brain and the mind as being this machine that has certain programming, and you watch it do its thing. Okay, it's whirring away there, it's thinking this and that, but just watching, and that's it. To be honest, that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do is achieve that, and the rest takes care of itself. Because, as I'm sorry who it was it John Thor, what you pointed out, your individual life, your path, your individual path. Yeah. If you ever listened to an interview with Kate Bush, one of her few interviews early on, she just said she knew, she was asked if she was going to carry on singing, and her answer was that, well, that's what I'm here for. And she knew that, and she'd already written hundreds of songs by the time she was, a teenager. Yeah, that was her thing. That was her purpose. She knew her purpose. Yeah, and in many ways, that's such a gift, isn't it? To be. And that's probably the same with a lot of prime ministers and people like that, or moguls, people that have achieved great success in many ways, whatever it might be, not just financially. Yeah. A lot of the time, that's been a very clear picture for those people from the outset. But for a lot of us, of course, it's very whimsical, it's very cloudy. But that doesn't make you any less important or significant than these people that have been maybe financially successful or influential. Yeah. We all have, our own little, even for those people, they have their own little things going on. You know, someone like Einstein, for example. I mean, he had all sorts of marital problems and things like that. You know, there was a whole load of other stuff going on aside from that, aside from the public image. So, you know, we all have to deal with that. And that's part of it. That's the growth process. It's just recognizing that. Yeah. I was watching a butterfly yesterday go from flower to flower. Amazing. I mean, you know, the butterfly, if it's only just kind of born, they only have a life of a few days, but you know, they when you look at a butterfly from the distance, it looks very clumsy, but it's actually very precise flying. You know, it's a one flap for a little drift, and then it's a furious flap for this, but they know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. And so maybe this is the thing, you know, we all, you know, there's a purpose or a function for everything and everyone. But we get so distracted, don't we, about what our purpose could be. Letting go is the way. That's the way, and all of this, you know. And even if you're a flat earther, if you've been into it about the same time as myself, maybe. That guy's just gone past with his mask on again. Riding a bike with a mask on the street. Then, you know, you'll have been through that process as well. You know, you'll have that self-analyzing where, okay, you question whether you're actually being led down a different path of adopting a different belief. Yeah, so you're very wary of that. It's like, no, you eventually realize that you're following reality and the science. You're discerning the difference between the two. Yeah. So you'll have been through that stage where you want to tell everyone else, because you get that kind of the vigilante phase, and this is maybe much like a teenager that discovers there's something they want to do to put the world right, and they'll go out there and they'll be in your face. And yeah, so a lot of us were probably we're playing that role as well, going through this process of, I've got to, and it's not for your own benefit, but this is, you find out something, I've got to tell the world, I've got to, because you want to help. You see that there's this, if we don't get our shit together, then everything's going to fall apart. That's the thing. There's no end game. This place is always like this. Doesn't matter how advanced we get. It doesn't matter whether we're actually traveling to the stars or not, and things like that. It doesn't matter what mission you're on in the physical world to accomplish. Nothing really changes. Nothing changes about the human experience, except that it is of course, it's going to be unique for everyone, and it's going to be hugely diverse. And that's the thing. It's still a human experience or a life experience, where there's going to be a point where you can achieve a lot in a lifetime, but there's also going to be a point where you reach certain limitations, or you learn things, or you have opportunities to learn things about that. Yeah. And maybe it's just a game anyway. Maybe this is just, wow, this is fun. Yeah. Yeah. All this emotional stuff that we got to deal with, the roller coaster ride. I mean, if we didn't have that, it wouldn't be fun, right? If there weren't times of excitement and depression and all this, then what? So what do you actually want? What do you actually want out of life? Sure, stability is a huge thing, and of course, in some ways, if there's a structured society and one that's kind of run by a government that's supposed to be looking after you and you're paying taxes for, then yeah, there should be things in place that are just kind of that help everyone. Yeah. And of course, there's always constant room for improvement. That can always be fine-tuned. And as always, in government, social services and things, you get people that care, but you're also dealing with psychos that just want to take as much as they can. And usually it's the psycho that, in that sense, will win. But again, these kinds of situations force you to lead your own path. Hello, Iron Horse. Yeah. That's a good one, Eleanor. Yeah, I do not want to see anyone fail in life, but I cannot tell anyone my way. Absolutely, yes. And I think kind of adopting that policy with my kids has been kind of like, I mean, we have a kind of, it's a nice, warm, I've got 5 kids. The oldest one is still here. She's in her 20s. But there's no, I'm not putting pressure on her. She's got a lovely job. She's really, she's doing her own thing. She teaches music and she gets gigs and things like that. And she's a pro. Yeah. So she's doing, I'm a bit of a musician and I was hoping at one point that I would, but no, this is it. She's just arrived at this point in life where everything, is working out for her. She's getting gigs and she's well known and what have you. And she's just naturally going. I haven't pushed her in any way. She's pushed herself, obviously, sometimes, but yeah. So, I don't put the pressure on my kids to be a certain way. Of course, just only what you can by example, right? You have responsibility for your actions. You make a mess, you clean it up. You do, things like that. Whatever. Have some consideration, but I'm not pushing them in any direction. And I remember the pressure that I got, and that was, I'm sure it's the same for many of us. Oh, hi, Eagle Plane and Anchor. You're in Samui. Hello there, just across the water. Well, on the other side of the thing there. Hope you're having some good there. Ice Cube, where does the sun go when you sleep? Depends where you sleep. You sleep in the daytime, it's still there. It doesn't go anywhere. Manish, people, big problem with people is believing is they don't think that they are as smart as they don't think they are as smart as the liars. Okay, I love that. Yeah, there's the whole kind of Dunning-Kruger thing there as well, which again, you can look at in all kinds of aspects of life. Ex-Globetard. Planets were never created, then God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. Well, yeah, that's kind of, but that's as far as anyone can ever say, you can make that claim, but then what, how, why, we can't answer that question. And, yeah, okay. Ice Cube, you don't believe that Buddhism is real. What is Buddhism? Yeah. Is it religion? Is it just a label we have for that process of because it's Buddha. It's following the way the Buddha was, or the things that he discovered. Yeah. And it's a good story because he started off as a prince with everything and really sought to find the truth, because that wasn't, he deliberately left that life behind. Iron Horse, saw the moon fading away into the horizon a few hours ago. The moon, okay. You're in Oz, right? Yeah. In Oz. Thailand must be quite a bit further west than most maps show, or Australia to the east. Interesting, yeah. I mean, the moon, as I said, that's very interesting, Ross, right. Mr. Thatcher. Natalie again. Okay, Ice Cube. I don't watch shows because that's how people control your mind. Absolutely, Ice Cube. Yeah. Let me share. Okay. A cat scrap going on there. I don't know if it's my cat or not. Doesn't matter. Oh, Ernie. What are you on about? Or Emmy or Ernie? Yes. Okay, great. Sorry if I kind of, I'm sorry. Tiger Bear, hello. If you water a plant knowing what fruit it will be. I'm not sure. Wow. You called your friend in France for 30 minutes and it cost you £125? Dollars? Wow. Yeah, okay. All right. Wow, it's brilliant. Excellent to see some chat going on here. Yeah, eye level. Hello. Oh, you changed your avatar. Arona enabled the coup and the states that was its purpose. Yeah, it was a coup. Definitely, it was a coup. Yeah, I mean, yeah, financial. They just grabbing all these properties. Yeah. Sue Scott. Ulanor, I'm old. I used to call my aunt, who was a switchboard operator, just to chat. You would dial 0 to connect. Oh, nice one. Ulanor, okay. All right. Okay. Sorry. This is the chat's kind of way there. I don't want to waste too much time. It's nice. It's wonderful that you're contributing, but I don't want to kind of obviously hold people up just going through the chat. 10th man. Yes. Great. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's been busy. MR Popcorn. Round. What do you mean? Prove your claim, Mr. Popcorn. Yeah, and this is it, the proofs, an explanation, a concept isn't a proof, a mathematical model isn't a proof, and that's the thing. It's really, 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 really simple, isn't it? Just the fact that, as I was talking earlier on, the lenses, you look through a lens, you're looking through this, if you were sat here now looking, it would be a different view than looking through the camera lens, and they have their curvature and things like that. So no lens is completely flat, is it? Why? Because then it would give us a view that kind of we can't really process. And that's so lenses are convex, and that convexity is very much what creates that perspective, And so we're looking at the world, we see the world and every single observation we make is governed by perspective, and of course that's totally ignored, just like magnetism and salt water is ignored, all these things, totally ignored. So anyway, and the other thing, of course, is that places like, for example, the Maldives, right in the middle of the Indian Ocean. There, you've got these resorts, which are on atolls and shallow water, and the whatever, or these little strips of sand. The Maldives, all these different islands and stuff, and they are on the equator, but the moon isn't pulling the water up above the to the extent that it does. We're not talking 10-meter tides here, so again, this just doesn't, reality doesn't reflect. I think it is worth doing something on horizons again, because there's this understanding that, I wonder if I can just demonstrate that quickly. Because you've got a thing, you've got this table here, and of course people see the horizon and they basically consider that line to be an edge, but really what you always have at the horizon is a band of convergence above the surface, and it's that convergence, it's where everything is really condensing. The surface goes to a certain extent, and then but what beyond that is that, but all that condenses. So there's always doesn't matter on the weather conditions or whatever, there's always a band of convergence, because that's where everything kind of gets swallowed up in the horizon. Things don't get cut off, they don't go below this hard edge, so it's not an edge, and it's not it's not the beginning of a curve. That's the thing. There are these assumptions about the horizon. It's like, no, ships do not disappear, they don't go down, they're just look at reality, and you'll see, then okay. And so you realize that horizons are this convergence in our vision across a flat surface. That's what they are. And it will come up with you, it will stay with your apparent eye level. So they're not fixed. So okay, that completely destroys that in itself. Reality, just making a single observation in reality, completely destroys the globe. That's it. We're not on this round thing, and we're not looking down at some. No, that's not reality. That's not how it works. That's not what horizons are. And the whole model is based on this premise that that's what the horizon is. It's not. So just as soon as you see that, once you see reality compared to the model, then you realize that they've just created a model. Yeah. Anyway, I can hear that the rest of the family are starting to get up. I've got to do my dad duties, got to sort out some breakfast. So it's fantastic to have a chat, yeah. And Tiger Bear, except there is a horizon there. Well, yes. Yeah. 10th man, I'll just read that one out. Check out the meaning of projected geometry where they admit to perspective. Perspective rules the day. They just don't want to. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Nathan's channel there has gone over that one. Oh, hello, Al. Good to see you. Yeah. So, it's fantastic to see you all in chat. Thank you so much for coming along. I wish I could kind of reply to everyone, but I know it gets a bit kind of, if you're trying to go through every single comment, then it's kind of, so Planet of Confusion. Oh, hello, Zach. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I just got to get going. So thank you very much. All right. We'll catch up soon. And let's just do some more stuff on Horizons. Do some proper stuff. All right. Take care. Have a great weekend. See you soon. Okay. Cheers.